Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington, an original shark from the hit television show Shark Tank. Now, I have a question for you. Do you have a child struggling with behavior problems, maybe lying, stealing, defiance, or self-harm? Well, let me introduce you to Bryan, America's foremost child behavior expert, author of the best-selling adoption parenting book, From Fear to Love, world-renowned speaker, adoptee, and former foster child. Parents, tune in. Bryan, welcome.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
So, Bryan, how did you become America's foremost child behavior expert?
Well, really, Kevin, it started when I was born because I was adopted, had a ton of experience being traumatized myself, had a sister who was traumatized, parents who really struggled with us. So I had a lot of behavior problems as a child. So I grew up with that experience of knowing what children feel and then also experiencing what my parents went through. And I've worked with over 20 years, probably almost 3,000 families. And it's been all around the world. And I've worked with them in their homes, not just in an office, but actually in their homes. I believe that most traditional, conventional parenting methods and techniques, your timeouts, your consequences, your points and reward systems, those are all fundamentally fear-based and they create more stress for children. And what most parents don't realize, and most professionals, is that the biggest challenge to children's behavior issues is stress. And so if we're actually creating more stress, then we're actually fostering the problem. So what I do is I take a love-based approach and try to help us as parents understand ourselves better so we can understand our children differently.
So, Bryan, what is the single biggest barrier to a peaceful child-parent relationship?
Well, it's not just a softer approach. It is also an approach that is based in relationship.
Okay.
In our society, we put so much focus on the behavior. It's right in the moment. It's right in the present because that's what our brains focus on. We have a part of our brain called the amygdala. It's your center for fear. So the moment a child is misbehaving, then the parents immediately become stressed. And then what that part of your brain does is it drives you to want to control the behavior, to suppress the behavior, or change the behavior. But what that's also doing is it's putting stress in the relationship between the parent and the child.
Gotcha.
And it's interrupting the healing opportunities.
So, Bryan, can you give me an example of some folks you've worked with? I mean, I know you've worked with 3,000 people, but let's talk about somebody that's had an actual transformation as part of your program.
So I'm gonna tell you one of my favorite stories, and it's got two layers to it. One is a parent. She called me and she said, what do you do with a child that talks nonstop? Like, she's always chattering. And so actually she emailed me and I said, well, do you ever listen to her? And the mom was very honest and she said, no. I said, well, start there. 10 minutes in the morning, quality time and attention, 20 minutes in the afternoon, and 10 minutes in the evening.
Right.
So then a couple weeks later, she emailed me and she said, my daughter won't take a bath.
Won't take a bath.
And here's a 9-year-old daughter, adopted child of a 63-year-old parent. Okay. So every single night, it's a bath time battle. When I walk into her bedroom and I say, honey, it's time to take a bath, my daughter flips out on the ground, kicking and screaming. And I jump on her and I hold her down and I'll wrestle her until she calms down. True story. Yeah. And then we go in the bathroom. She sees the bathtub. She flips out again, but she's gonna take a bath this time, whether she likes it or not, whether I have all my clothes on. So we get in that bathtub and we're splishing, splashing water everywhere. And then we both fall out of the tub exhausted. And then she doesn't want to go to sleep. So she said, what do I do? And I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you, next time you mention bath time to her, which hopefully is the next night, when she starts flipping out on the ground, kicking and screaming, I want you to sit on the bed, take 3 to 10 deep breaths, and get in touch with how you feel. I don't want you to do anything with her. I want you to get in touch with how you feel. I said, and then I want you to call me back and we'll go to the next step.
Right.
So she called me back. I still remember when she called me. I was pulling into Holiday Inn Express in San Jose. And she said, you're never going to believe what happened. I said, okay. She said, I went in. I said, it's time for bath. Just like usual, she started flipping out, kicking and screaming. This time I sat on the bed. She said, I felt like an idiot sitting on the bed while my 9-year-old's throwing this big old tantrum. She said, but do you realize in less than 10 seconds, she completely stopped what she was doing, climbed up on my lap as if she needed a hug, realized that she didn't, and she went and got in the bathtub.
Wow.
Mom said, that's too much for my old heart. And that was actually the beginning of the end of their bad time struggles, because what we were able to figure out is that when this child was picked up by Child Protective Services, she had lice so thick on her that you could pick it off with your fingers. So taking a bath was actually like post-traumatic stress disorder for this child.
Bryan, thank you for being here today. An amazing story, and I love the stories of transformation. So if you'd like to track Bryan down, feartolovebook.com. If you have children, you're going to want to talk to America's foremost child behavior expert. Thank you, Bryan. Take care.